Hello and welcome to this next Flip Preaching video. My name's Andy. We're going to look at the last bit of teaching in the book of Matthew, and it's a stonker. It's Matthew 25, 31 to 46, the parable of the sheep and the goats. Not really a parable, actually, the story of the last judgment. And it's such a good one and it's such a challenging one. So you probably know this, but have a read of it if you don't know all the details. But it's a story of Jesus saying what's going to happen when he comes back. There's going to be a judgment, and it gives us the details of what we're going to be judged on. So first it says that all the nations will be gathered, and they'll be judged on these things: whether we fed the hungry, gave water to people who are thirsty, welcomed strangers, people who are foreigners, took care of sick people, visited people in prison. They're the things which Jesus cares about. They're the things which, when he comes back, they're the things we're judged on. And he makes it really personal. He says, whenever you did any of these things for the least person, you did it for me, which is astonishing. Whenever we're kind to a person, it's as if we're doing it for God as well. This is sometimes called the sacrament of the poor. A sacrament is when we do something physically, and God is there too, in a very special way. In the Methodist Church, we only have two sacraments. There's baptism and communion, Holy Communion. But this is saying that kindness to others is a sacramental act because God is present in it. You're doing it for God, which is astonishing. But then there's the flip side. Whenever we don't do something for somebody else, and realistically, that's all of us, whenever we choose not to help somebody else through our own selfishness, it's as if we're not helping God, and God takes that personally, which is a bit scary. So who's this about? It says that all the nations are gathered, and the words used there, the word all is very inclusive, so everybody. And the nations, the Greek word is ethne, which is used for the non-Jewish people of the world. So this is everyone who isn't Jewish is gathered before Jesus for the judgment. So these are people who are not Christians. These are people who are, from all faiths and none. It says will be gathered before Jesus in the end. This is an astonishingly broad story. And remarkably, it's saying that even though you didn't know you were worshipping God, when you helped someone who was poor, you did. This is amazing. It's saying that people have a relationship with Jesus, even though they don't realize it. The German Catholic theologian Karl Rahner loved this passage and called those people anonymous Christians, people who didn't realize they were worshipping God, even though they were. I wonder what you make of that. To finish with, I want to just think a little bit about the last part, the idea of eternal punishment. It's the only time we get that in Matthew. And so this is for the people who are on the left-hand side, the goats, the people who didn't help. The word eternal in Greek is aionion. And eternal is, I think, quite a bad translation into English. Aionion means just a phase. It was a period of time with a start and an end. There's a different word that does mean eternal. That's not the one used. It's a phase. Could be a minute, a year, who knows? It's a phase. And the word that goes with it is kolasin, which means pruning, which we've translated as punishment, but really it's just pruning, cutting off bits which aren't helping the whole plant to thrive. And I think that's perhaps a better translation, that in the end, we all need a phase of pruning. We all need the selfishness, the sinfulness in us pruning out so that we're fit for heaven. I think that's a better reading. Last week, we talked about the parable of the talents, and there was the wealthy man who got wealthy by exploiting the poor, doing the opposite of this by keeping people poor and hungry and thirsty and perhaps not welcoming strangers. Perhaps some people need more pruning than others, but there's the hope that every plant can be pruned. There's still good. There's goodness in every plant, and everything can thrive. So I wonder what you make of this passage. So a few questions. Who does all the nations refer to? Is it everybody? Does it include Jews? Does it include Christians? What about the second thing? What about this idea of anonymous Christians? What do you make of that? And thirdly, do you think a phase of pruning or eternal punishment is the better translation? Okay, well, thank you for watching. Next week, we start the new cycle of readings. It's Advent, so we say goodbye to Matthew and we say hello to the Gospel of Mark. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.